Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. This is Ryan Gallagher. I'm the client support manager at BeLoyal. Hope you're doing well. So to start with, once you get logged into Director, once you're in the Insight tab, you got a few tabs here. By the way, please let us know at support@beloyal.com if you don't see these tabs, the overview and information tabs. They now actually have some information that such as how to contact support, some common things, and even a services survey. And then there's an information tab, which is actually in all of them now, all the main modules here. You can see not only what you can find in that module, but also a link to that module's section in Be Loyal My Support, our help center. Okay, to begin with, we could start with the dashboard. So I have a demo account here just to give you an idea of what you can do with that. To begin with, the simplest part of this, which can be very convenient, every directory user can actually pin their most used reports here. And to do so, you simply go into the section for the report you want to pin. You simply click the pin right here. So if it's yellow and sideways, that means it's not yet pinned. Whereas if it's green, it is pinned. Simply click that to toggle it. If you're like, oh, well, I don't really need this one anymore, you can click that here and unpin it. Whereas you're like, oh, well, I really need this one, so I'll pin that here, and then it'll appear on the dashboard. So that way, as soon as you go into Insight, it pretty much goes straight to the dashboard page. So you'll see that first thing. So there's this one now. I just added that. And then I believe we have Kathleen. Yeah, Kathleen, you were going to go over some of the dashboard reports.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to.
Thank you. Kathleen is, I'm sure many of you have spoken with her already. She's our new customer service representative.
Yes.
Actually, since I'm sharing my screen already, I'm just in the wine demo account, by the way, this one. I can just click like this, for example, and we can just go over that to start with, like just for sales transactions, kind of a breakdown of channels.
Sure. All right. So with the sales transactions, you can break those down by channels being like your store or your point of sale system, web store, and your clubs, if you have those, of course, as well. So those are definitely great ways to see where your sales are going to. The graph there will help break that down for you so you can see where most of your sales are coming from. And of course, it is color coded and you can change those colors, I believe.
Let me expand the range a bit. There we go. So now we can actually
Thank
see
you.
a bit more data because
Yeah,
this is a demo account, so there's not going to be too many sales.
exactly.
So in the real world, you'll see your sales figures. If you have a web store, you only see that. POS sales are going to be here. So other than that, so you can do different chart types. So this one, of course, is the ring one. We got pie charts. We have median charts, funnel charts, bar charts, and area charts. So you can change the size. You can, like Kathleen said, you can change colors. The data points, so what this does is it's going to be the max number of basically, so if it's like this chart, it's going to be up to 5 here. Whereas if it's like this one, membership rewards daily. So this one's set to 7 data points, so it's going to do 7 dates. So whatever I guess the y-axis of sorts of the chart is, x being like the main categories, y being like the data points, that's going to be the limiter there. So you can see we've got a bar chart here, or actually medians. So this shows for different items. Again, it's a demo account, so it just says item 1, item 2, etc. But it would show your product names there. This one's set to 4 data points, and as you can see, there's 4 dates that are broken down by each item and their sales. Also, if you do order processing, we have an alerts dashboard. So similarly, there's a data points limiter, so it's showing up to 7 alerts in this case. And this is nice if you want to see, oh, what are my, like for example, this one's set to problem orders. It's like, oh, this one has payment processing error, came back from USA ePay. This one too. This one couldn't reach something. It looks like probably ship compliant or something. Probably their sandbox. This is set to ship compliant. sandbox account, so it probably didn't reach it. But it's nice, you can go right to the order and go, okay, what does this mean? And see what happened there. Oh yeah, is it ship compliant? So it wasn't reached on this day in 2020. So that's kind of nice to review real quick. Okay, in a nutshell, what problem orders do I have, or what customer reminders do I have that I set, for certain orders and things like that. You can just filter it here, this little gear and page icon. And then here's the alert types. Quite a few there available. It's cool because you can customize the layout. You can hit this customize dashboard button. You can move things around, move them up and down simply, just like our other areas in Director. Save it. You can create different dashboards. And also up here, if you're an advanced user, you can create OData access URLs, which lets you plot that basically in an Excel spreadsheet and refresh the data directly with us. That way, if you're like, well, I'd really like to see this all in a spreadsheet but have it, more or less real time, you can do that. So it copies it to your clipboard, and then you just go in Excel and set that up basically.
So someone asked, how do you have your report showing graphs in the dashboard?
Oh, okay. Pretty much you set the area. So for example, we got sales transactions here, order related sales here, and then these are sales with promotions and coupons on them. So pretty much when you add a new report here, so here's your choices. So you hit new, then you pick your type in the general area, like, oh, I need a customer report. So you pick that, and you can give it your own title if you like. And then you basically set up, like, for example, we could look at membership signups for clubs. So if you utilize our club feature, you can set the time frame, you can set number of signups right here. You can change these if you want. I think those are the default values for the size of the graph. And then the type can be set here, which is, in this case, it only has a table, but other ones have different selections. Next, let's go over the basics on running a report. So we could let's use this one. That's a good one to start with. So this is a very commonly used report, the sales transaction summary report. There's also a sales transaction detail report that's going to give you more info back. So first off, you can see all the columns that it's going to include right here on the right. And sometimes there's even extra columns you can add. So for example, this one has an extra 2. Probably most folks won't need the transaction ID, but if you do for some reason, it's there. Like if you do advanced reporting through a database connector or whatnot, that's a service we have available. There's also a transaction time field, which we have here. But in any case, you can reorder them. You can set the ascending or descending order, or just no sorting. So the group by, if we're going to group by date, it's going to do a summary. Essentially, if you just click that and leave this on, so what it'll do is give you like a summary, like a total count for everything. So it'll be like, oh, there's 10 transactions on 3/29/21, and 20 on 3/30, whatever it may be. So it's not going to show you each individual one this way, but if you turn this off, the hide details, so it'll group them by date. It'll put them all together basically by date, but then you'll see every transaction still. So this is great for a summary, like kind of total counts. Whereas this is great if you want to group like by a store, for example, and or date. You can do multiple selections here. So it'll just kind of start with the first one and then group by the next choice you have. So this could be a common selection here with a store and then by date basically. Or you can, if you're like, oh, well, I want it by date first, so you can just move that up. Just click it and click move up here. And if you have like a really custom layout of columns and grouping and things that you come up with, you can even schedule reports to run automatically for you, so you don't have to keep redoing this basically. So if you pick here on the schedule, like, oh, I'd like this every week or every month, You pick that here, just defaults to midnight, and then you can pick, the first day of the month, etc. And then, which date to start with, basically. So there's a separate section I'll show you in a bit, but it'll just run at that time, and or a day of the month or week or whatever you select here. And then you can pick, email as the delivery mechanism. And then probably like Excel is a nice format, or you can do HTML that just views it in the browser, basically. It gives you a link to view that. But if you actually want a downloaded file, you can pick Excel or CSV. I really recommend that for really large reports. It's going to run faster. It's more portable. You can import it in other programs and things like that. It's just going to be the raw data, basically. There's also an OData selection here too. So if you're an advanced Excel user and you want your dynamic spreadsheet, basically with data from BeLoyal, you can do that. It's just under like data connections, I think is the name of the tab in Excel. So I'll go ahead and actually schedule one. I'll just pick tomorrow, and then the 9th of the month, and then we'll just put a test email, basically. So it doesn't actually send it, but just to show you how it's set up and where to find it and all. You can put your own custom message here for the email if you want. You can give it a different title, like you put like custom. Then you can filter it, as usual. You can pick, I just want, this store and this store. You can pick certain channels, etc., all the usual stuff. So it looks good. So we'll hit run report, and that'll give you a message here to confirm that it was submitted and will be delivered. So then, all the way at the bottom here and inside is the schedule tab, and you should see it right here. So there's this, my custom one, and it's all scheduled, ready to go. Now, one thing I should point out here, we used to have an issue where if you change time, let me see if it does it still, but so you might see like midnight, but it will actually schedule it at whatever time you set. So let me just see if that, yeah, see. So if you go back into it, it will show a different time, but rest assured, it is actually scheduled at whatever time you picked. But if you just leave it on midnight, then it's not a concern anyway, but I just want to make sure you're aware of that. And at some point, we should be able to fix this. It's just a display issue where it's not loading that in, but I just want to make sure you're aware. It does schedule it appropriately. I can guarantee that. So I'll just go ahead and delete this. I'll show you that as well. It's just with this little GoToWebinar thingy. So if you check off your scheduled report or reports, if you want to do multiple, you're like, oh, I don't need these anymore. You just check them off here on the left, and over here on the top right is a delete selected. Yeah, I'll not delete someone else's in case they want it, so I'll just do mine. So I'll just delete that. But basically what happens is when you pick the email delivery for scheduled report, you'll get an email around that time as soon as it completes. And you can pick multiple emails, by the way. I kind of wish I showed you that. So if I pick, I'll just show you here. So if you want to go, I want to send this to, myself, and then I want to send it, you just put a comma, and then a space, and then, I want to send this to Kathleen, and then you put that there, as many people as you want, basically, so they'll all get the report automatically. No strings attached. It's kind of nice to automate that way. But if you just want to run a report outright, you can leave it on delivery URL most of the time. I just wanted to point out those. There's some really large reports where, unfortunately, web browsers will just kind of give up after a bit. They won't wait for the report to complete. So rest assured, it is running. It's just that your web browser will be like, okay, this web request is taking too long. So it'll just give you an error or something like that. But if you were to check back in that report later, like, oh yeah, I started this big old, let's go to one of the big ones, like actually, this one could be pretty large if you do like either one of these. There's a lot of fields, as you can see, and you're like, oh, I want to do all my customers, so that'd be a pretty big report potentially. So what I suggest for those, again, is the CSV format. That's going to be just the raw data. Process is a lot faster, and then delivery, probably email would be best. Even if it's just a one-time report, just leave this on run now for a one-time, or this works too. You can set it at a certain time that way, but if you do run now, it's a one-time report now, basically. And then you just put your email or emails here, comma and space in between if it's multiple emails. You can also pick like one of the send froms that you have set up in your account. Anyone who's flagging your director account as a someone who can send email, and it's just the same as how I showed you with that other schedule report, basically. But difference is it's run now. You'll get it in the email, a link to it as soon as it's done, basically. That way you can work on something else, forget about it for a bit, and then you'll just get the report link just as soon as it completes. One other basic thing here, the show report grand totals. Let me go to a sales report again. Let's see if we got, oh, none of those have been run yet. Let's go to a regular sales report here. How about this one? Oh yeah, here we go. So this is on by default. It's going to show you the totals on the bottom for the columns, basically. What I can do actually is, oh, here's one of this. So you would see, down here in bold, just the totals for each column, essentially. You can turn that off if you wish, but pretty much it's usually on, I think. Let's actually go over some of the common reports in some more detail. So let's see, we already went over that a little bit, but we also have, like I said, the sales transaction detail report. This is another common one. If you just need more granularity, this is the report for you, basically. As you can see here, we have customer information, we have departments and categories, which could translate to, like if you're using Corona, it could be commodity groups. Department would be the first tier, category would be the second or subsequent tiers. And then we have RMS, which this was, when we originally designed director and all that, we kind of used the Microsoft RMS Dynamics format. So department is like your top tier for products and categories. Underneath that is a second tier that's nested under that. So for other integrations, we kind of leverage those usually the same way. So department's going to be your top tier. That's the second tier. As an example, like wine and red wine would be like a category, whereas wine would be the department. White wine would be another category, or like a pet category if you're a pet shop. So you have beagles or dogs, or that could be a category, for example. But anyhow, just the same, you can group and hide details if you just want summaries. But usually, if you're going to be running a sales transaction detail report, you want to see the line items for each sale. But you can still do that, in any report. They're all the same as far as how you can sort and group and all that. So filter wise, it's pretty straightforward. Most of you probably already run some reports and have an idea about how this works, but we have some basic, kind of baked in, date ranges just to make it simple for you. Like, oh, I want this month or last month. So those are all selections here. If you pick custom, you can pick a certain date range. So if like, well, the boss wants to know, the boss always wants reports, right? So pick they want the beginning of last month through, actually might be better to like go earlier this year, like beginning of January, for example, and through mid-February for some reason. There's a good reason for that, of course. There's always a good reason. And then you can pick that here, pick the specific dates. And all the other filters, pretty straightforward. Again, you pick departments and categories if you want just certain areas for sales. You can do certain stores if you have multiple stores, certain devices or POS lanes or web carts or whatever it may be, certain channels, most common ones being POS, web store, club, phone, like for director-based orders usually. There's a couple others we have. They aren't widely used, but they're available to you. Like if you have a special event, for example, it's kind of nice to denote those transactions as an event transaction. So yeah, a few other things here you can choose. More recently, we added a discount rule selector if you want sales with certain discounts that triggered. I wasn't sure if all of you were aware of that, so I just wanted to point that out. You can also pick order batches if you're order processing and like, oh, I just want to do, certain order batch or batches. You can select those here. You also include a certain customer. by account number or exclude account numbers. Just the same, you can include certain product or exclude. Like, oh, I really need to know the sales detail for product XYZ. So you just put that right here, the lookup code. As you can see here under sales, we have quite a variety of reports. We have tax related ones. That's great for order processing clients who want to report their taxes, basically. Makes it a little easier for you to just get that right out of here in Director. We have a couple of other sales detail reports as well. If you utilize sales reps, like commissions, or just want to see how certain sales reps did, you can use this one. This one is for orders, order packages. If you want like kind of a general transaction count and average value, there's this. It's hiding the details by default. It's meant to give you the averages and totals only. You can turn that off, of course, just like any other report, but that was the initial intent or original intent for this one. We got some product specific ones in here as well, but there is also a product specific report area. But these are product specific sales reports, so that's why they're here. These will give you, actually let me pick, like this one is a common one, product sales summary report. This one will give you just a few basics about the report, or I mean the product rather. That can be handy sometimes. We have if you have gift orders, you can do this one here. So that can be like if you utilize club memberships and someone purchases a gift membership for like their son or daughter or something out of state or whatever it is, then you can use this report on those, which is nice. Some more order related ones here. Let's see here. So that's pretty much it for sales in a nutshell. And of course, if you have any questions, please submit them and we'll go over those as well with you in a bit here. Let's just go from the top here, I suppose. So some of the most common customer reports would be top customers report. This one, I'll pin that. If you have clubs and you have credit card expirations, this is a great report to see which ones are expired, and you can send out create a list from the report and email them and go, hey, we noticed your club credit card is expired. Please log in here. Put a link and to your account management page or whatnot online, and then they can update that. It can be a nice mechanism to get that list of customers. We have a customer specific sales report as well here. Customer sales summary report. So here's some of the fields. We added some lifetime fields as optional recently. That can be nice as well if you're like, well, I'd really like to start a new loyalty program for folks who have a lifetime sales over X threshold. So you can definitely get that from this report. Or, oh, I want to, if someone has, 50 purchases, so this one will give you a count of their lifetime sales transactions. So you can get that from this as well. Let's see here. So this one is great. If you want, we consider this basically our customer detail report. So we always generally have a summary report and a detail report for the key areas. So this one's going to have a lot of customer information in it, pretty much the majority of it. And then you'll have like your custom codes at the bottom here. Like in this account, we have a gender custom code and account added date. But you can give those any name you want and all that, and those will be in the customer records, and that can be a topic for another webinar, how to do custom codes. So this, usually what this one is used for is like if you want to get lifetime sales, total sales, and unique customer details, like you want to do like a physical mailer. This one has their physical address fields. It also has email. And if you don't need any of these, by the way, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, you can just select the field and hit remove. Like, oh, I don't really need these. I don't use these. You can hit remove, or if you're like, well, let me just kind of start from scratch and build this custom, you can hit remove all, and then just add the fields back that you want. Like, oh, I really only need this, and these, address, etc., whatever you prefer. That will speed up the report a lot, by the way, if there's only a few fields. So, but normally this is one of those bigger reports. It can be potentially, unless you limit it a lot by these filters. We have inclusion and exclusion filters here. Clubs, events, groups, lists, loyalty programs. So this is going to be another one of those large reports generally. So I strongly suggest doing like an email delivery and CSV, or I mean, you can still do Excel. It'll take a little longer, but for the formatting, but not that much longer. But trouble is, if you leave it on the default, the HTML, or actually rather the URL delivery, the web browser is very likely to time out. It'll give up after about, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes usually. Sometimes longer, it varies. But generally you want to pick email for any of the bigger reports. And you'll see a ton of columns go, oh yeah, this is probably gonna take a while. So I'm gonna report on 100,000 customers. So that would definitely take a while. So I would definitely strongly recommend picking the email. Actually, jumping back for a second, another great feature that we have now for large reports is the grid file export. Now, we used to have to set up a special tool that would download these for you, but now you can actually download these in Director. So let's say you want a really big report. Let's say, like, we'll go to sales, we'll go to sales transaction detail report. That's a bigger report. It's got several columns here, and we want to do like 4 years. So that's a pretty big report, right? So we do custom, and we do 4 years back, the beginning of the year, basically. Let me just pick that, and then just through the current date. So definitely don't do the URL delivery for this, because it'll definitely give up. It'll take a while to compile all that data. Not too long, it'll take, I don't know, like 30 minutes, an hour. It varies. It depends on the scope of the report, but this is definitely going to be a big report. We know right off the bat it's going to be 4 years. It's going to be pretty big. So pick either email or grid file export, which I'll show you now. Let's do that. So you pick that. You schedule it to run either now or later. Basically, performance-wise, if it's a large report like this, it's usually best to schedule it like late at night, but it's not really going to affect too much. If you're running V4, which I think probably everyone in the webinar currently is, but basically, we have a separation of services. So one of the perks of V4 is, before everything used to run off the same system, essentially, the database. So if you were to run a large report, it would really slow you down in general, at the POS and everything. So I realized, yeah, that's not too good. So for V4, we have what's called grid services, which is going to be like reports and Director and stuff like that. And then we have the loyalty engine, which is always going to be snappy, always up and redundant, except for on the first this month for a little bit. There was a general Microsoft Azure outage, and that hit us for a little bit there. But that's very unusual, because we have redundancy, geographic redundancy, and all that. But anyway, back to this. So if you pick grid file export, so I'll just go ahead and I don't think there's that many sales in this account, but I'll just make it a little smaller. But you can make it, a large report for sure. But just for demonstration purposes, I'll make it a little smaller. So grid file export, I'll just do run now, and I'll just pick, CSV. That's always going to be the fastest report generation right there, raw data. But feel free, of course, if you want to pick Excel or whatnot. So I'll do that. Okay. So what it does is it will schedule that for whatever time, either run now or, I guess I have to close that, or whatever time you specify here. If you do that, of course, you can do the intervals as well if you want it monthly or whatnot. Of course, probably not a 4-year report monthly, but You get the idea there. So once you have that set, if you go to tools, and this is a recent addition, and go to data exports, and then just hit the new button here. And if you don't have access, you could just contact your director administrator on your team or management, and they should be able to get you access if you need it. Just enable the access to the tools basically, and data exports. So if you pick, let's see here. I'll get back to that. I'll just look that up in a separate account where I saw it. But in any case, it should show up there in the list. As I'm pretty sure it just says grid file, export, insight report, or something like that. So I'll just check that out in my other account in a moment. But you can download it here. And so if it's a really, really large report, in like 4 years, 10 years, whatever it may be, it'll separate it into the separate files, and it'll just download all the files for you. And then you can just open like the first one, like in Excel. Just make sure you have the 64-bit version of Excel, might I add. That handles more data more effectively. You can check that in the help menu, or actually the account menu, I think is where they have it now in Excel. And on the Windows side, you just open Excel, and there's like a my account page basically. And then you'll see whether it's 32-bit or 64-bit right there. Anyhow, let's go back here. Let's see. So a few other common reports under insight and loyalty. We got lots of loyalty related reports here. Let's say you use our club system. We have several reports there here, as you can see. So again, we have a summary and detail report. Summary report's going to give you some key columns back. Detail report's going to give you a lot more. So pretty much all the membership details, essentially. Just the same, you can schedule them, you can filter them, you can customize the columns. There's sometimes some additional columns you can add. Simply select it, click add. So one of them I wanted to mention is the special preferences report. So if you ever wanted to have like a selection online through like one of our WordPress snippets or whatnot, where customers can choose certain products that they want to receive in addition to their normal club orders, this gives you a report of what they've selected. So that can be nice to run. If you have club referrals, that's this. So probably like for everybody though, pretty much these down here are gonna help out everybody. So whether or not you use orders or clubs or whatnot. So like for example, if you want sales broken down by whether or not a customer is in a loyalty program, there's this here. That can be nice to go, oh, well, how effective is my loyalty program basically? So you can do this and get some nice percentages and totals here. Just the same if you utilize our loyalty accounts or transactions, like loyalty currency or loyalty points, you can get breakdowns in the loyalty transactions report. You can choose which types of transactions, which loyalty accounts. If you're just using the basics, it's just going to say these two, but we do now have the option before to have multiple, essentially points and currency buckets. Feel free to contact us or send in a question right now if you'd like to learn more about that. But in general, when you first get your account set up and all that, it's just going to be the basics here. So like, let's say, oh, I set up a promotion for 1 point per dollar spent. So, and you want to get a report, oh, how many points have people earned and all that. So this would be a great go-to report for that. It's like, oh, I don't need all this detail. I just need, their name, email, maybe company, and then, how many points basically. So that'd be the amount here is currency, points is points. You can like remove them all and then just add those back or remove the ones you don't want. just to get a nice little quick summary. And of course, these can be scheduled as well, just like any other report. So if you're like, oh, I want a monthly points report, you can do that here. This one can be nice if you're trying to get an idea on a monthly basis. I haven't used this one too much, but basically it'll roll it up for you. You can see kind of the granularity there. If you utilize our frequent buyer programs, we have several reports for that as well. So that's like buying like kind of a sales over time. So like if you buy like 8 of certain products, you can get one free or 50% off or whatever it may be. So these will give you all the details for those. And then if you have like a supplier who, that's a perk for, hey, if you buy, like using like pet food, for example, hey, if you buy, 9 bags of our brand pet food, you offer this to your customers, we'll let you give them one free, for the 10th bag. So this would be nice to compile all those. It gives all the detail the vendors would want to report on that. So you can go, hey, here's all the free bags I gave out, and here's all the frequent buyer transactions that led up to that. And then it'll be great, well, just generate this, automatically, schedule it in Director and get that over to your supplier, and then they'll be happy. And they'll compensate you, of course, for the free bags. Let's see here. We also have some coupon related ones. So if you want to see sales where coupons were used, you can run these. Just pick the coupon discount basically, and the date range and all that, store, etc., all the usual stuff. Those are probably the key ones here. Of course, if you have any questions, let us know. So let's actually go over some payments reports. If you utilize our gift cards, that's where you can find reports on those. But you can also find some the in-a-day report. So this can be nice, or in-a-day reports, I should say. There's 2 of them. So these can be really nice if you find like your accountant or accounting team finds a discrepancy. Like, hey, wait a minute, this tender total is not matching the sales. So this helps you identify those. You can run, like, for example, this one to identify variances. So set your store or all the stores if you want to first identify the store, if you have multiple stores, where a variance came from. And you can cross compare that, the sales detail report, and go, oh, this tender is not quite the same value. And then if you look at the sales transaction itself, you go, oh, okay, this was, manually discounted, or whatever the case may be. That can be pretty handy to run in Director here, because pretty much you'll have all your sales in Director. So with your integrated systems, so it's great to be able to run that here. Kind of consolidate them all at once versus maybe running one report there, one report here, POS system report, web store report, whatever it may be. I'll just show you. So you can get like all the balances. That's pretty straightforward with this. Just current balances basically of gift cards. You can see the transactions for gift cards with this one. And then we have some tender related reports as well. These are going to give you breakdowns of like, oh, how many Visa transactions were there, how many MasterCard, et cetera, cash. Breaks that all down for you. As usual, you can filter by store and channel and stuff like that, date. I can also help with identifying variances, as well as, hey, what tenders are we, receiving more of? Let's see. So other than that, I also wanted to show you. So a lot of people I don't think, go into this tab really, the system tab, but we have a few things here that can be of use to you. One of them, so if you use like Quicken or anything like that, you can run an accounting export report. These are set up in a different area of director as well. It's a little bit of setup, but once it's set there, you set up your accounts and all that. It's under setup basically, and then we have accounting integration right here. So if you use like QuickBooks, Quicken, etc., get that all set up here. We have an article on this as well, by the way. What all you want to include basically to export to your accounting integration, accounting application, which would be external. Then you can just run a report back here in Insight and System for that. One of them, though, I wanted to review, or actually two of them, that you may not know about. So in V4, we have what are called integration batches. So that is basically a check-in with a system. So let's say you're using like Clover, or using, RMS, or using a Corona, or some other POS system that we integrate with. If you want to see, or WooCommerce, for web sales, let's say you want to check on the progress of these syncs. So this can be great to do that if you're seeing some issues, like, hey, actually, I have some products that aren't syncing, or you have some orders that aren't coming through, or something like that. This can be great to check on that. So you'll see an error status, if that is the case, or you'll see the success status, which is what you'll usually see. If you see an error, definitely contact us. We can help you get that resolved. But this can be a great report. It's a more recent report we added that you can run just to keep an eye on, and you can schedule this, of course. Keep an eye on these integration batches, each sync check-in, basically. Make sure they're looking good. You also get counts of like exported items, which means in the direction from director to your other integration, whereas imported means in the direction from your integration into director. So for example, using WooCommerce, we have a plugin for that. It's a e-commerce plugin for web store, if you're not familiar with that. So you would be importing orders. So you'd also be importing the customers that come from WordPress, basically. So you'd see the counts for that, and it'd be under the entity name. So it'd be like, sales transactions for the orders, and then or sales orders. It's one of those. I forget. Sorry, off the top of my head. But you'll get a count of that. How many are imported? Just the same, we'll be exporting information to WooCommerce. So like if you add a new product, like in your POS system, it comes to director, and then we export from director to WooCommerce. So that would show up in the count here for a new product or products. So if you don't see that, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I just created that product and I'm not seeing any product exports, then please reach out to us. We'd be happy to help identify the issue there. That's also going to do inventory and all that jazz for that type of connector. Whereas a POS, or a POS system connector, it's going to be like products, syncing products if you do that, and of course importing sales from the POS system. So you'll see the counts there as well. As long as everything is working well, you'll see those counts. If not, let us know. We'll help you out with that. So another couple useful reports here are these compliance ones. So if you're order processing and you utilize Ship Compliant, it's an excellent service we integrate with. It checks compliance on basically alcohol shipping orders, essentially. Make sure, because every state has their own laws, it's so confusing, and it also can get you the tax rates, so those are changing all the time and varying, all that. And so it's a nice integration to kind of handle all that for you. So anyways, we have like a nightly check, and that would be this one, where we check against your Ship Compliant account or accounts, and we go, okay, is there a tracking number? Is it marked as shipped in Ship Compliant? And that's every night, like about midnight. This report will actually show you the status of that, and which orders were checked on, and what the status was returned from Ship Compliant. So it'll say like the director status here, and then there's of the order, and then there's the Ship Compliant status is this one, I believe. So if it's marked as shipped and Ship Compliant, and if there's a tracking number present, it'll close the order for you. It'll import that tracking number into the director order and close the order because it's been shipped. So it'll put that date in and all that too. that runs nightly. Checks for the past 30 days. One thing that came up recently in a support request is, oh, I have futures orders and they're not closing. So this automation here, it'll only, not this report, but the automation that runs, it'll only check the past 3 days. So we actually have a tool for that. So if you go to tools right here, and then import tracking numbers from ship compliant, you can just set it back. Oh, this, a year ago is when I did these futures orders. You can put that here, and then it'll just check further back for you for orders that more recently picked up, but were or shipped rather, but were created a year ago. And of course, you can increase it as much as needed. However many days, and then just hit yes. And then after a little bit, just check that report again, and you'll see a lot more orders. The older orders will come through finally, and they'll close for you and all that, and get tracking numbers as long as they're marked as shipped and ship compliant or delivered even. Let's see. So this one will give you compliance check results back. So this can be handy as well for those of you using the ship compliant integration. Includes their messages returned to us, the order numbers and all that. That can be nice to run if you just want a compendium basically of, okay, what are all the the problem orders with compliance issues. So you can do that. And of course you can filter in orders too by compliance errors, but this can be nice because you'll have it in report format. So that way you get one list. Okay, these are the orders we need to review and contact customers or make sure we, our compliance setup is good and ship compliant, whatnot. For a certain state, again, those are always changing. You might have to change a license, or it's a pretty dynamic thing there. Pretty much, those are the most common reports I wanted to cover. Kathleen or Marissa, do you have anything else that you wanted to add, or? Okay, well, I think probably we can just move to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, there was someone who had asked a question about sales per club run. Are we working on questions or?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you don't have anything else you wanted to cover, then we could just move to the Q&A phase. Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. Okay. Cool. Let's see here. I'm not sure what order this. I apologize if I'm going in the wrong order, but so I'm not sure like which ones are the oldest versus newest, but I think this was our first question received, if I'm not mistaken, from Michael Savage. How do you have your reports showing graphs in the dashboard? Okay, so let's go back to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, when you, let me minimize this again. So when you create a new dashboard widget, or whatever you like to call it, or report is what we officially call it. So like we can do new, like we'll just pick, let's just do another sales one. We'll just call it sales transaction graph. Okay. All right, so here's our configuration now. So what we can do in the chart type selector here, we can pick like a pie chart or a graph or I forget what style this is or how to say it, to be honest, that Pareto chart, whatever that is. You can do a funnel chart, you can do a bar chart, area chart. Let's try that one out here. So we'll do by store. So we have a couple by channel ones, it looks like. So we'll do daily, and let's do like 8 data points. And you can filter to just orders if you're an order processing client of ours. So we'll hit save. Okay. So it's right, oops, let me scroll over. So it's right here now, and just refresh this little button. And oh yeah, I didn't think that through. So probably we're not gonna have any sales today. So let me actually pick, so it's a demo account. So let me pick course, if you're in your own real account, you would see something, but let me just go ahead and pick yearly, and then we'll definitely get some data back. Okay, there we go. So this was, what did I pick, the area chart, right? Yeah. So maybe that's not the best chart for this, it's looking like, but but as you can see, as a legend over here, and then it creates a chart style of your choosing. Let's try a different one. That's kind of, let's do like a pie chart, for example. This one we can see, oh, we have a ton of, most of our sales here are from this here. Probably went like, oh, wait a minute, we have a bit more stores here, so we'll need to resize this. It's cutting it off a little. We can do like 50%, let's say. There we go. Oh, not quite enough, so make it a little bigger. Let's do 100% actually. Okay. Oh, this account has a lot of stores apparently. So if you have a ton of stores, it might cut off, but ordinarily, probably just be one or a few stores. So you'll see all those here. But anyways, you'll see, hey, which area, which store is getting the most sales versus other stores. Kind of compare performance there. You can also do like a bar chart. So that's going to be interesting for this account, but you'll see all the different stores kind of side by side here. But yeah, there's several selections there. It's just simply the, of course, it's really big now, but so I picked 100% size, but like we can do medians, averages, etc. Change it to by channel, but basically this chart type fills me your key setting there based on how you want to display the data. So I made a pretty crazy report here now. I'm just going to get rid of it probably. Let's see what else we got here. Hope that answers your question. Oh, I guess I have to, there we go. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I didn't see that. You're you're probably referring to your previous question. My bad. Let me see what else you sent us, Michael. Oh. Okay. Yeah, that I definitely want to see what's going on there, but let's see here. Oh yeah, so we are recording this. We're going to be posting this on our YouTube channel as well as our My Support page, so you can review it anytime. Let's see. I just want to make sure there wasn't anything else you're trying to say. Oh, actually, Okay, so next we have a report for sales per club run. Yeah, so you can do that. If you were to filter your dashboard report by orders and then look at the club channel, you can do that. Now, of course, if you have regular club orders too, let me just see if we have one here already, or there's an order sales.
Yeah, I don't think you have one there for.
Yeah, I was gonna say we probably don't have like a very specific club runs only. I don't think, but let me just.
If you go to, if you want to do just a report and not have it appear on the dashboard, there's a report that they can run.
Yeah, for sure. So actually, come to think of it, we really should cover that real quick. I don't think I did. So under let's see.
Payments.
Let's see here. Whoops, I missed. So yeah, this is actually something I wanted to mention. I could just kind of lightly touch on it. So we do have two club run focused reports under Insight and Payments that you may not be aware of. So while we don't have a dashboard for that yet, that would be great to add though. I'm sure we have a feature request log for that, but we do have reports at this time you can run, so you can go by product or by tender. This one you can choose your club runs you want to report on, or all of them. Looks like we got a ton in this account, but you just pick the ones you want, and then you'll get the details from that back. So that can be very handy to quickly filter down to club runs. This was brought up by one of our clients recently. Like, how do you report on club runs? So under Insight and Payments is where you can find these. And of course, we also have our product-based ones you can use. You can filter by order batch for your club run and whatnot. And also sales-wise, you can run fulfillment reports as well as order-based reports, packages, or order summaries. And you can choose like club channel, you can choose the date. But really, if you want to, right off the bat, if you want to go straight to your club runs, then these are going to be the ones for you, by product or by tender. So the product one's going to show like revenue and all that, and the product lookup codes and whatnot, discounts. Whereas this one, the tender, it's going to show you like sales and revenue and what payment type they use, the tender. So that can be handy, definitely. I really hope this has been helpful for you folks. I feel like we get a fair amount of questions on reports, and I was like, well, we actually have quite a few useful reports, and I wonder if folks aren't really aware of them, or or like the delivery formats, or especially like that new grid file export. In fact, let me go to a different account here. Nope, I gotta log back in. Okay, oops, wrong one. Okay, another test account here. Let's see. Okay, so here we go. So under for the grid file export format. So again, that's excellent for very large reports. You're like, hey, I want customer sales or loyalty-based sales for the past like 3 years or whatever it may be. Again, I can guarantee if you leave the report on the default URL delivery, it will time out. It won't. It will finish eventually, of course, but you would have to like go back to the report and check on it, which can be a pain. So this is great. It just runs, and when it's ready, it's there for you. So just the same, the email delivery, same thing there. So for the grid file export selection, go to Tools and Data Exports. Here in the export type, you can pick Grid Report File Exports. And then you can further narrow it down by the different tables. These are the raw database table names. They might not be super friendly sometimes, but they're usually pretty straightforward. Like, oh, I want only the sales focused grid file, exports I did. But if you only did like one or two, you might as well just leave it on any, and then just hit search, and then bam, here they are. So like, oh, here's that customer export report I did. So this report is a huge report because it does every single customer field there is. So there's that customer mailing list report I showed you. Let me go ahead and do another tab here. This is a useful trick, by the way. If you right-click your Director tab in Chrome or Safari or any other of the main browsers, there's something along the lines of duplicate for the duplicate tab. This is great if you want to be in more than one area at once. I do this all the time, especially when I'm investigating an issue or looking at orders or whatever it may be. So let's go to Insight in this other tab here. We'll go to, what did I say, Customer Export Report, which is this. This is a new report, by the way. So again, this is like everything. You see it has a lot of fields. So if I had chosen grid file export here and ran it, and it's already run, right? We go back to our tools, data exports, and we filter the grid report file exports and hit search. And then here it is right here. You can download it. You can see the file size. You can see this is a 23 megabyte report, which is fairly, it's fairly big. But I mean, if you're doing like a 4-year sale report or 10-year or whatever it may be, it can be hundreds of megabytes. So that's where this grid file export format is very, very helpful. So that's how you get to that. I was like, I don't know why I'm not seeing it, but maybe I just overlooked it in the other account, but this is how you do it. So it's this new filter right here. You know what? It probably wasn't expanded. So you may have to click this white down arrow with the blue circle to enable the advanced search. Then you can see it. That's probably what I did earlier. Sorry, coffee's still kicking in. So that's how you get to these. Just make sure you have your advanced search here. And then once you pick this, just hit search again, and then it'll show them to you. So that's how you do that. Very, very helpful for those big old reports that you need once in a while. Let's see. There's a chat, isn't there? So, let's see here just a second. So yeah, Michael, I was still just curious though on your question on this one here where you asked about dashboard reports showing data from the customized reports. I was wondering just now, actually, did you mean like if we created a custom report for you, like under, Insight, or actually I got another tab here, under Insight and Custom? Is that what you meant? Because I don't believe we do. Let's see, let me just confirm this, but as far as I remember, I don't think you can make a dashboard report from a custom report, but let me just confirm that because I'm pretty sure these are just kind of, yeah, so these are certain categories. So that actually, I think that's probably what you meant, but let me know if that's not the case. That probably would be a great feature to add though, honestly. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure there's a feature request log for that as well, because sometimes there's just a need for a custom report and we may create one or a couple of them for you as a consulting project. That is a service we offer if you weren't aware. You're like, hey, I looked at all these reports. I'm not seeing a report that has the exact fields I need. Can you make a custom report? Just send us a support ticket or give us a call. And we can look into that and see if that'd be feasible and give you a quote and all that. But anyway, if you already have custom reports, which would be under Insight Custom, it would actually be great if we could create a custom report widget for the dashboard. So I'll just make sure we have a feature request log for that. As I thought about it more, I was like, oh, that's probably what you meant. But again, let me know if that's not what you meant. But in fact, I can probably just unmute you real quick. Actually, that might be easier, Michael. So yeah, let me know if that's not the case.
No, you're good. That's three of the questions just to answer back if we couldn't unmute, but that's fine.
Oh, cool. Right on. Cool. Like, why don't I just unmute you? That'd be a lot faster than submitting a chat or a question type deal.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Right on. Good. I'm glad to hear. Perfect. So yeah, we'll get feature request log for those things because that would be cool. All right. Other than that, I hope this was helpful. We'll get this posted. We'll send out a link by email, or probably a couple of links actually on where to find this, like on our YouTube channel, as well as my support. Really appreciate y'all joining us here today. This will be a quarterly thing. This is a brand new thing. We're going to be doing webinars each quarter. We had to delay it 1 week this quarter, but the goal is to do like the first Thursday of each quarter at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So just hope you look forward to that. We'll cover various other useful topics as well. Yeah, so also if you have any suggestions on that, I'd be happy to hear that. Please feel free to reach out to me directly at ryang@beloyal.com. Again, that's Ryan G is short for Gallagher at beloyal.com. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Sorry, I went a little over here, but I just wanted to make sure we covered all grounds. But yeah, hope you have a great one. Thanks for joining.